Hello.
There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Fred. Welcome to the podcast. And it's all about founders and builders, Rollercoaster Journeys, episode 2 with you, Fred. Thanks so much for joining and really looking forward to having a chat about Finxone and yourself and the journey that has brought you to this day.
Thank you. Just gonna. It's a
Fantastic.
sunny day in the UK today, so I'm gonna put the curtains back because otherwise the light just can't. We can't use not used to the sun in this country, so apologies for that.
That's fine. That's fine. We can relate to that sometimes. We can definitely relate to that. Awesome. So, Fred, I guess, no better person to introduce yourself than yourself. I think you're drinking something over there. So,
I am.
in order to
I've
break
got
the
two things.
ice,
I've got two things. I've got a coffee latte style thing, and I've got a Diet Coke. I'm afraid it's just been too hectic today. Haven't had the gin and tonic, which is what I prefer to be drinking, but coffee is still needed for now.
so this is on my side, it's rooibos, obviously, South African rooibos chai keeps me going, and water because, I do get dried out quite quickly. So,
Good choices.
fantastic indeed. So, without much uh, hanging about, let's get going with let's have a look at the questions that we've prepared for you. Um, First of all, childhood dreams, career path, how and why you became who you are, Fred, CEO and founder of Finxone.
Wow, great question. I think my dreams I still haven't figured out yet. I'm still chasing them, which is effectively, if I would tell you what most important thing to me is to build technology that lowers gaps of inequality. So like what's always been passionate for me, and I wasn't lucky enough to be born in South Africa. I was born in Brazil, but but I spent 12 years in South Africa, and I absolutely loved every second of living in Africa. And really, what I got to see in Africa was the absolute inequality, where opportunity just wasn't available for everybody else because it became who you knew and if you had access to capital and stuff. And so my dreams have always been about building technology that lowers that gap of inequality, so that somebody that has a great idea can actually execute it rather than have to know somebody with an average idea but just can get it done. So my technology has always been around that. So that's been my kind of biggest dreams. My background, well, I went to school in the UK. I graduated in Canada and then went to school in the UK, to a boarding school for a year. I met a girl, which then meant kind of like I wanted to get to the UK and live in the UK, so I did. So I've effectively culturally, I don't sound it, but I'm kind of culturally British. I've been here since 1994, with a couple of departures down to SA for a bit. But really, I'm kind of British, even though I sound like I've got an American accent. I apologize for that profusely. Um, how I
You can,
became
you can.
got into software. I was at Microsoft for 15 years.
Okay.
And I was my job was to help build the next billion-dollar businesses. So I launched Azure, I launched Office 365, I launched several businesses from Microsoft down in 2004, 2005, 2006, security business, virtualization, a whole bunch of businesses like that. I then went from Microsoft to VMware. So I was president for VMware in Africa for a year, again helping the VMware business go there. And then I started my earlier stage ventures after I left VMware, which was largely all around payments in Africa and trying to help create the payments inequality, the thing I've talked to you about, which is really what my passion. So I did develop for a little while. So when I was at Microsoft, I took about 52, 53 Microsoft exams. So I was a deep Microsoft techie and a CTO
Okay.
for Microsoft in Southern Africa and Africa. It was something I had to do. I then taught myself how to develop. I taught myself how to code, which is unusual. I went from infrastructure to development. Taught myself PHP, Java, JavaScript, a whole bunch of other stuff. So I taught myself about 5 or 6 different languages. Recently done some coding myself, which is fun. But as my CTO reminds me, I'm not very good at it, so stop. So I did.
You're not good at it. Okay. That's interesting. Fair enough. Okay. Interesting. Anything before we dive deep into everything? Anything you do to, leisure, any hobbies or leisure activity that allows you to find yourself or recalibrate, and followed by, what family life? What does it look like?
So I have something very unusual. So I have my eldest daughter is 23, my son is 19, and my youngest daughter is 3. So I have like 20 years between my eldest and my youngest, and that kind of gives you an insight right now as to what leisure activities are involving anything from Teletubbies to a bunch of small stuff, which I have deja vu from. So I kind of remember doing this 20 years ago, but now it's also brand new in my current reality. So I've made some interesting career choices, and which led to Finxone. But I've made some interesting family choices, which have led into my 3 kids, which to me are my entire world.
Okay. And how does that the difference in 20 years in terms of 20 years ago having a toddler and now having a toddler, what's that like? Is it similar
It's
or
about the parents. Christian, it's about the parents. So like there was always a stack rank with the kids. Like, when my kids were like 3 and 6, the parents of the 9-year-old kids would be like, well, when they get a little bit older, you're gonna find out blah blah blah. So like parents try to like stack rank themselves by the age of their kids to try to give you that kind of advice to keep you down. So it was really interesting because
okay.
now I have a 3-year-old, and I run into parents that think this is my first child, and the 3-year-old, and they're like, well, when she turns 4, you're going to find out all of these amazing things. And I'm like, wow, and you try to be humble about it. It's like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that advice. And
I've
then
got it
something else,
20.
it comes up in conversation afterwards that it's like, and I'm like, yeah, my daughter does that. Like, no, your daughter's here. She's 3. I'm like, no. I mean, my oldest daughter, the one who's 23. She's graduated university already, and she's and so like it came out in context in that conversation, but then it just crushed their parent dreams that their like 6 or 7-year-old was no longer the top dog in the social structure because I have 23-year-old kids. Well, not kids. Laura's a woman, obviously, but that one for me was pretty cool because it's the stack ranking of the parents. So I can always haul out a Laura and a Ben, which are my 2 eldest kids, at 20 and 23, and go, I win.
Yeah,
That was it.
I can imagine. And they must be delighted having a tiny little sister at home as well
They
when they come
they
home.
do. Yeah, and again, my son uses my house as an airport, right? So he's at Bath University, and he just came back. He was here for a day now, and he's already leaving, going skiing
Okay.
for his semester break, and then seeing me again for a day, basically just to use the house as a departure station until he goes back to school. But he's around every once in a while. But yeah,
Okay.
luckily I didn't get empty nest syndrome. I just made a new one.
Yeah. Okay. That's really unusual, but really, really nice to have a little view of how life looks like from a personal perspective. Cool. So let's get into it, deep diving daily routines as a CEO and a founder. What does it look like? So I'm just going to give you a little bit, the structure, daily routines, past projects. Well, we've done a little bit of that. The current projects, which is what we're really interested in, what you're working on now, which is Finxone, because I'm sure we've got a couple of people who are excited. I think there's a guy called Tats I've been talking to, and he's really excited to hear about it. The journey reflecting on your experiences, who's your software for, solutions, problem your software addresses, and what does it do? Okay, so over to you. There's a lot to go over, but ad lib, over to you how you want
Okay,
to structure that. And
good.
if you want to share a screen, don't hesitate,
Good.
just
So
like let rip.
cool. So daily routines. Again, some advice for founders, and if you're in an early stage, especially if you're at a company like a Microsoft, or if you're at a one of the big corporates, you'll realize that the rhythm is everything. So like Microsoft has, like, in Q1 it does this, in Q2 it does that, in Q3 it does this, in Q3 it does 4. It plans, reassesses its business. The cool thing about it is when I was at Microsoft, nothing that was in the top 5 of revenue in 2014 when I left Microsoft is in the top 5 of revenue today. So think about it. That company has reinvented itself completely in the last 10
Several
years
times
alone.
over.
And it does it several times over. And it does it annually in a structured and a rhythmic kind of process. So the first thing I'd answer that in terms of daily routines is the difference between a project and a passion project and an actual business is actually rhythm. So when you specialize a rhythm, and even if you're starting, it's just a single founder, two, three of you. Well, okay, on Mondays we do this, on Wednesdays we do this, on Fridays we do this. What makes sense? Start putting in the rhythm, start putting in those rituals. And it's not because
Cadence.
you're cadence. You're not a loser pretending to be bigger and pretending to be something you're not. It's not true. You're laying the foundations of your business and your structures and your habits. And so at some point grab something out. Okay, put it in a spreadsheet. Right, take that. Don't just put it on your laptop. Put it up into, so grab some Office 365, some Google Sheets or whatever. Start putting stuff. Organize it. Right? Is you doing your first marketing pitch? Right. Create a folder called marketing. Create a folder called commercial. Your first pipeline presentation for a customer, well, make that, template that, make it possible for you to do that. So at the stages where we have been, especially in our Finxone journey over the last couple of years, we've gone from somewhere where nothing existed. My engineers now, we're still small. I'd say this month we're 35 people, but
Oh,
we're
awesome.
growing pretty quickly. Added 9 alone this in the last couple of weeks have joined us. So I'm beginning to do new
Yeah.
starter orientations and stuff like that, which is kind of like, it's weird. There's even a stack rank. Somebody said to me, "Hey,
Yeah.
I've been here for 2 weeks," and it was like, "Wow, that's a veteran." And then somebody was like, brand new person, like, "Well, I've been here today." Okay, well, that makes you the baby temporarily, but
It's quite difficult to keep
putting
up.
but putting in those rhythms and putting in those things that we do on a regular basis. That is right now what I find I'm doing a lot. So my daily routine is attending the individual stand-ups and rhythms of our delivery and our engineering organization. Attending now we have a new commercial organization we just hired. One of the just an incredibly far better than me or any of us grade founders, with himself a $500 million exit. Who's our chief revenue officer now, has joined us, Tony Coleman. And so he's building out his commercial team now, and he's building up an organization to start building us and taking us globally. And each one of those organizations have a company-wide thing, how we connect at a leadership level. But then at the same time, the delivery team has its organization, the tech team has its organization now, the commercial team has its organization, and I'm watching these things kind of develop, and I'm ensuring that they develop in the right, healthier ways, so that a building of 100 stories starts with a very level and very well thought through foundation. Otherwise, when you get to 10 floors, you realize that with the foundations you built, they're completely sideways. So right now it's a very critical point as the business scales up to make sure that we're laying the right level of structure, not too much that it feels like a corporate, but just enough so that it can execute like a corporate. And I think that's kind of, for us, that's kind of the important pieces. In terms of past projects, and obviously investment, fundraising. I think all the founders and people around and know fundraising takes a huge amount of time. It takes a huge amount of time. My diary is color coded, and it's really exciting for me that over the last couple of months I've had a lot of red in my diary, which is investor pitches and investor meetings and investor follow-ups, etc. And not so much purple, which is partner development, and not so much green, which is customer development. And recently, like today, was great. My diary was washed in green, which is like there was almost no
Awesome.
red.
That's
No investor meetings today. It was just customer, 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 customer. And in some cases, I don't even there anymore. We have a customer meeting ongoing now, a new pitch to a new project, a payments company, and I'm not even there because now the team now exists to be able to have, excuse me, team exists now to be able to have those conversations without me. So in terms of past projects, I built a payments company before. I acquired a big company in the UK that does FX retail, IMX software. So I ran that for a few years. I did a joint venture with British Airways and their Comair division in South Africa for a long time. I took their IT department, made it a for-profit company, and then added all of their commercial flight bag departure control, their revenue websites that they touch with customers, so both ba.com/Africa and Kulu.com. So we did a joint venture with them to spin off a tech company to build aviation technology at lower cost for the African continent. Did a payments company, did several individual kind of past projects. But really what they all led to is my absolute passion, which is, deterministic, intelligent software that can automatically build and completely design and deploy apps and experiences, browsers, portals, and stuff for customers, so that entrepreneurs, startups, scale-ups, brands that aren't necessarily expert in the financial services capabilities that they need, but want some, just to lower that friction. it costs hundreds of thousands to build an average, banking grade or financial services grade application. And Finxone thinks that that should be like Wix or Shopify. We think that it should be
Yeah.
something that is exceptionally simple for you to put together. It should be exceptionally simple for you to do. We think compliance should be automatic. Following all rules and all laws should be automatic. And that if you have an idea, you should be able to execute it in a couple of days, not a couple of years. And that's really what the mission of Finxone is. At first, we're starting in Europe, and now increasingly we have a couple of our customers now beginning to try to take us into the US, which is really exciting for us. But also our passion is to do that in other places. So we're developing great opportunities with some tier one partners in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and Latin America, that everybody where there's an interest in taking technology and making it frictionless. So that's what we are so excited about, is because now that deterministic AI and these types of technology have reached a maturity curve, that you can feed the model in an interesting way and you can tell it what you want, then let the robots build stuff for you. So we're working on the problem of how to tell the robots what to do. The robots can find out what the rules are, what the compliance is, and what you can do, what you can't do. So, hey, are you doing an FX transaction? Right. Well, you need, the law says you need a proper quote. You need to instruct the customer what your fees are. You need to do a bunch of these other things. And here's a screen built for you automatically. And now you can do it by yourself. And so that allows entrepreneurship to flow. That allows financial services innovation to happen because people can just do stuff pretty quickly. So that's really what Finxone's passion is about. It's about creating a financial operating system powered by AI-driven, rule-based engines that know how to comply, that a normal business person without any technical skills can say, this is the type of app I want to build, and it just gets done automatically for you on licensed rails.
100%.
So
I think that's how we got to meet and to know each
yeah,
other,
yeah,
is through that,
yeah.
is because it was time that the disruption came, obviously from different niches and different markets, and you're opening it up with Finxone, so it's really exciting
Yeah,
and
and
watching
yeah,
closely.
we're really excited about that, and also we're really super excited about, if I'm honest, the kind of people that are beginning to reach out to us. So at first we thought it would be just early stage, brand new, leading edge startups. Now it's actually even bigger companies, people that have been trading for years. They're licensed EMIs, they have banking licenses themselves. What they're thinking is, hang on a second, this shouldn't take me 2 years to change a button from blue to red. It's just like the experts get involved, because for me it's simple. Can we have that in red? And then experts go, oh no, oh wait, we need a sprint and we need the plan and when we need something else. And it's like, and meanwhile, like the business owner's like, I want that red. Could we
Yeah.
just, dude, could you just get that red? No, but there's a process, you see, and we need user acceptor testing for red, and then we need all this other stuff. So Finxone's kind of like, okay, we'll do it. And if the law says you can't have that button in red, we'll stop you from making it red, if that was the case. But if we let you do it, it's because you can, and you can do it instantaneously. And if you want to roll it back, you can roll it back instantaneously. But it kind of gives a certain immediacy to things, which is where we think the power truly is. So we get quite excited about that.
Okay, I like that. Really, really awesome. So at this point in time, I know you've been looking at raising. Where are you at in terms of the raising? Are you still raising? What's that looking like?
So we're delighted that we have done. I was a really good mentor. It's like one of the world's just genuinely nicest human beings, but also happens to be probably one of the most prolifically successful business angels that we've ever had the good grace of meeting. So I was talking to Chris Adelsback a couple of days ago, when we were reflecting on the Finxone journey. He was asking me some questions, and the interesting thing that he said to us is, how much ARR, which is the annual recurring revenue, have you guys been able to land? And I told him the number, because I was almost feeling a little bit like shame, like it's only a couple million here, it's only this number. And he's like, wow, and how much have you raised so far? And I said, okay, well, we've raised this number. And he goes, wow, so your ratio is like 2 to 1. I'm like, yeah, roughly. So our recurring revenue right now is twice what we've raised. And he's like, how old are you guys? And we're like, 19 months. And so the great feedback that he gave us, which we were like just humbled to receive, is like that's about 4 times more efficient than the average. Usually the ratio is 0.5 to 1. So if you've raised £2 million, you should be at 500K ARR. If you guys have raised £1 million and you're at 2 million ARR, you guys should be really, really proud of that. And again, the reason I give you some of those metrics is because the system is rigged. It's stacked against founders. It's stacked against all of you, right? Like, you have an idea? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll give you some money if you can prove it has traction. Well, hang on a second. I can't build it because I need your money to do it. Yeah, but everybody needs the money to do it. So once you're successful, you're at break even. You've got huge amount of money. Once your pipeline is really high, once you're handing over customers over fist, and you don't need my money, yeah, then we're willing to invest. I mean, that I'm being
Doesn't make
very,
sense.
very flippant. I'm being very flippant, but true angels that believe in the team, back the vision, and will take a risk, like Paul Birch, our chairman, who is just, again, one of the most incredible people. Like, Paul took the risk on us, and Paul, we didn't have anything. We had a plan, we had a PowerPoint, we knew what we did. We'd done 6 months of market research. We knew that it was legal. We knew that it was cool. We knew there was a market gap. So we knew all of that. And that true angel backed us and let us build, which was important. But outside of that true community, there are difficult times for earlier stage founders to try to find people that believe in the vision, and I think our team is a fairly experienced set of founders. We've all exited successfully before. We all have kind of like blue chip and corporate backgrounds, which we fought for 15, 20 something years of experience to get. And even putting our team that we thought was a pretty blue chip great team, we've found it incredibly difficult in this market to tell the story in the right way. And there's always somebody telling you that you're absolutely wrong. And I'll tell you one funny story. We had one set of, like, and this feedback came on the same day, like literally on the same day, when an investor said, somebody was looking at us, and this had already been like the 4th meeting. Okay. So like, they'd met the team. We'd already invested maybe 12, 15 hours of time in both of these conversations. So think about 30 hours of your day cratered over a kind of a 2-week period. It almost took out a work week worth of prep and due diligence and answering questions. And then finally, one of them turned around and said, your customer model. Yeah. Mostly partners have been doing your referrals. Yes. We're through partner organization. And so partners have been finding your deals. Yes. And they've been giving them to you. Yes. All of that. That's by design. And like, we don't like that. So we're out.
What?
Because
Seriously?
you need to be in control of your entire pipeline. And if your partners are giving you a pipeline, we can't back that. Okay. So I was like, all right. Yeah, I know you're saying what. And I'm like, yeah, so wrote that down in the feedback. Okay, cool. Next day, next conversation, it's like, how much stuff you say is coming from partners? It's like 80 something percent so far. And they're like, we're out. Why? Not enough. You need all of your stuff to come from partners. You need all of that. So literally 2 investment expert houses had just given us diametrically opposite feedback.
This is
and that is, and there's no right answer, right? And sometimes there's maybe just being nice. Maybe it was something else that one of them liked or one of them didn't like. But that is probably the founder's reality. What I didn't appreciate
100%.
when I went into this journey is that there would be 60 no's, 70 no's, 80 no's. And I think the system is almost designed to get only those that have that fanatical passion and drive for the mission that you are. It's very few people that can take 80 no's or 70 or 60 no's. Not for us, thanks. No, not for us. Slam the door in your face. Make this as a montage in a movie, and it's pretty depressing. Like, even the editor would cut it out. The editor would be like, no, let's just show 12 no's, right? They don't have to. I saw.
No, let's not go the full.
Yeah, there was a scene where the ladies were out trying to pitch an idea, about aerospace or whatever, and then they did a montage of a bunch of no's for their startup idea, and I'm like, bitch, please, you showed me 3 no's or 4 no's, and then the guy said, okay, I'll give you $1 billion. Yeah, okay, that is not the average founder life. That is not. That is not our world, right? I miss the days at Microsoft when I look forward to the 25th of the month, because the 25th of the month I knew I got paid. As a founder, you fear the 25th of the month because that's when your wage bill
So
is
you got
due
to,
on your head. Yeah.
and you got
And
to
it's a
pay people.
different, yeah, that's what I mean. The wage bill is due on you, Mr. Founder. And then finally you succeed and everybody's like, they got lucky.
Easy peasy,
Yeah, it
lucky
was
and
easy.
easy peasy. They
Hmm.
don't see what all the work that was got the nose, because I
Yeah.
mean it's and
It
also
takes the
talking
passion.
talking to investors, every conversation is different. It's like I was having a conversation with a founder lady who's building an amazing app, and it was like first conversation, okay, come back when you've built your MVP. So she builds the MVP, comes back, all right, I've got my MVP. All right, well, actually, do you have any customers? No. All right, well, come back when you've got customers.
Traction.
Traction. And so and they keep telling you to go and do things and come back, and still won't
Hmm.
give you that check. And then they all say, oh well, we believed in you and everything, when things actually start happening. But it is difficult.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really is.
we've been able to get the traction quite quickly, but it took a lot of, so most of our founders within Phoenix One, and obviously it was my idea originally, and I sold it to Paul, and then we're a husband-wife team at Phoenix One, so obviously I'm incredibly lucky to have Amanda on the journey with me
Amanda.
throughout the whole time, because it kind of is weird because like there is no off time, because like sometimes you can't just go home and just say, oh, I had a day or whatever, come forget about it, because when I want to
Louder for
rest,
those at
sometimes
the
she
back.
wants to tell me about, yeah. But so we've been a husband wife team, but our broader founders, which we don't call ourselves co-founder or senior founder, we're just all founders. Like we all put together, even people that joined a year and a half later on my management team, they're still founders. And so our founding team have all had to invest in Phoenix One themselves. They've all had to take those months without salary and without pay, etc., because we prioritized all of the resources that we had onto our dev team. And as a result, we're kind of that. Remember that thing that I said about 3 to 1, 4 to 1 more efficient? That efficiency has been bought by basically the commercial and the founding team, always taking a step back and then bringing the developers and the resources to the core, so that we could build and get around that kind of catch 22 that you've described. So for us, that's
100%.
been, no, for us, it's the only way to kind of get it done, especially after, Russia invaded the Ukraine and then stock went crazy in the world. So we founded Phoenix One right in the middle of a meltdown, which wasn't
Easy.
fun, but it was our timing.
Not
But
ideal.
from our market perspective, yeah, it's the right opportunity and we've taken it. But effectively, what I think in terms of, that I'd share, like with, what I'd share with your team is, it takes a certain amount of passion and dedication to do this. The founding roller coaster is, there's nothing like it. You celebrate the smallest thing. You celebrate an investor goes to, you're getting to meeting 3. Oh, yay! And you celebrate that. And it's trivial and it's not important. And when I was at Microsoft, I would have said, in other words, you're getting another meeting with the customer. Shut up. Who cares? Tell me when the deal is closed. That's how I would have been as a sales director. At a startup, it's like, we got to meeting 3. Raw! You have to celebrate that with a passion. You have to,
You
and I
do.
love this. It comes from a rap song somewhere. Don't let your wins get to your head, and don't let your losses get to your heart. I think
Yeah.
that's the super cool thing, that
Yeah.
we've all had to have. But then eventually, a win led to another win, led to another win, led to another win, led to another win. This week we've had the best week in our corporate history. We just seem to have one of those incredible weeks where, the harder we work, the luckier we got. And this week's been one of those for us, that I think is a trajectory impacting week for Phoenix One's next 5 years. But
Amazing.
there has been as many difficult and tough and hard weeks. There's been the tears. There's been the just looking at yourself and going, what the flip did I do? And there's been all of that. And that's part and parcel, right, of the
Yeah.
experience. You get corporate guys that are used to big org charts. I ran 1,000 people once, and you get to almost believe in your own awesomeness. And these corporate guys come into a startup for the first time around, and they're like, "What the heck? What do you mean? I'm important." And
Yeah.
because they conflate themselves to the brand, it's like, yeah, I'm a VP at Microsoft. Really? Well, now you're in a startup. Yeah, but okay, I'm the chief bottle washer at Wig Corp, and people are like, what the is Wig Corp? And that takes a certain humility, And it's one that
Yes.
if you don't have, it will get beaten into you very quickly. The startup life is
Reality, reality
startup life
knocks
is
fast.
not for the weak, soft corporate types.
Mm. It does knock quite quickly. The realities do, indeed,
That's right.
indeed.
That's right. I've been doing this
So,
for 10
Fred,
years now. I go back to my Microsoft days where I was like, hey, boss, you should have given me a higher review grade than this because I wanted a bigger bonus, right? Now I'm like, I got paid. Woohoo. Yeah, it's different level of expectation.
totally different. So, Fred, just like, I guess, the question is, you're still raising. How
Yeah.
much are you still raising in this? I guess it's your pre-seed friends and family round.
Yeah,
So
so
just
we just call it the break even round. So that round is 65% complete now. We just took a huge amount of actual cash into the bank over the last little bit. So that round is like 65% done, and its only purpose is to get us to break even. So we've been adding revenue pretty quickly now. We're adding one, sometimes two, sometimes three customers a month now. And each of those customers comes with about 5K to up to 15K of monthly recurring revenue. So
monthly MRR.
they pay us a little bit upfront, but then they leave MRR behind. So if I land 15K worth of MRR this month, I'm starting next month at plus 15, not at my whole burn rate, right? So we're rapidly eroding our burn rate to a break-even point that we believe will be on an absolute basis at the end of May and on a MRR basis at the end of June. And the reason that they're different numbers is because sometimes our customers pay a startup fee, so they pay an implementation fee, and then we collect that, but that's not recurring. And then next month they pay their subscription. So we have, when we onboard a customer, we have a couple of boosts from their kind of one-off implementation fees. So we, even with our kind of heads growing and even with our cost model growing, we still expect to, by May we will have reached break even with implementation fee plus recurring, and then by June recurring only will be at break even, which will be a day that I can tell you we will celebrate a lot. There will be some champagne drunk. There will be maybe some Red Bull and vodka drunk. There'll be some Diet Coke drunk. There will be water, whatever it is. But we plan to drink a lot of it, and we plan to celebrate because for us it'll be one of those journeys that flips the conversation, especially with us, with investors, with everybody else. That basically says we are break even. Our revenue now is in the millions. It is recurring. The market has decided that it likes kind of what we do. And
Absolutely.
from now on, the future is ours, which means we can decide where to go because we're no longer trying to solve for survival. We're now trying to solve for the future, which is a great challenge because you find that the mindset to solve for survival versus the strategic mindset to solve for the optimal growth in the future sometimes requires a little bit of adjustment. So for us right now, to answer your raise question, we have a singular round around break even to get us to that point where we're completely in control. And we find that at a kind of that magic 2.5 million annual recurring revenue sterling, with a break even business that's growing in revenue quickly and adding more customers with industry partnerships, we find that has a massive impact on our valuation increasing. And once you get to that point, actually, because so much of the venture capital, private equity, so many of these people have exited the higher risk phase of the market, there's a lot of money into that. Once you've proven that hurdle and once you've gone over there, there's a lot of people that will fight to give you a term sheet. Once you're at that minimum kind of 2.5 up, you've got revenue growth, you've got lots of customers. You don't, maybe it's not like one customer only. You've got your concentration risk is lower. So as these things happen, we
You're
find
the one
that
who's going to call shots.
we'll probably be the ones. Yeah, we'll never call the shots.
Pick and
Trust me,
choose.
because as a founder, you never call the shots. But you probably are a little bit of a better bell at the ball. You're a bit more Cinderella and less stepsister. I think that's probably it. So
100%.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we also in the process of our next kind of growth round. So our break even round is almost done. We're at kind of two or three serious offers now that our board is considering to see which direction we're going to go. Our angel round, our angel friends and family break even is effectively concluded. So now we're really thinking about. So our question is, do we grow faster? So do we want to do some dilution? Do we want to just grow our aspiration by the MRR expansion monthly. So if I'm getting 15, 20K a month extra, I'll let my costs go up by 15 to 20K to satisfy my aspiration. Or do I do a 3, 4, 5 million check one off and then go big? And then go to the States quickly, deploy our engines to to the EU basis, pick up another couple of partners. So we're finding ourselves pivoting out of that survival phase and pivoting into the which is the optimal way that can take us as many pathways possible to the unicorn level. I don't want to be $100 million business. I don't want to be a $500 million business. At Microsoft, if you ran a $1 billion business or more, you're considered a junior person. Right. So I still maybe have some of that chip in me to say, hey, look, how do we build a $1 billion? One of the capital partners that we're speaking to at serious terms, he's like, I don't want to invest in you guys unless I could see 10 billion. What's your path to get there? And that was how he introduced himself. He said, hi, I'm X. And he's like, how do you get to 10 billion? Let's talk. That was his question. And there is no more respectfully awesome question that anybody could ask that. They basically said, sit down here and dream with me. And I thought that was the best VC conversations. I'm not going to tell you, but Brian, if you're listening, that was awesome. That was just as a founder, you get inspired by saying that could be my partner. And I think that was pretty exciting.
So did Brian put some money down?
All our conversations are always under NDA. I was just saying it's been a great discussion so far. We're excited at what the market is giving us and what the market is offering. We're seeing some really cool things, but we're excited. So my routine is switching, to answer your final question, a lot from investor management, all of that red stuff I said on my diary, to lots of customer green stuff, lots of partner evolution and growth stuff, lots of stuff that I think has a fundamental impact on the business. And I'll be very grateful to give my my pitch deck shoes a little bit of a break for a while and just get focused on building value.
It's awesome. That's awesome. So also in terms of your customers that you're getting, are you going to be growing your team between now and I guess June, July to cater for new clients, which is also why you need that influx of to be able to keep up with, I guess, the demand, because obviously we all talk and we're all saying like, hey guys, like, as we're going to be building, two of our ventures are going to be built with Finxone, so which is really, really exciting. Maybe a third one to be discussed.
Amazing.
But in essence is, that the 30%, 35% left to raise in this round. Are you hiring? How's that money going to be spent?
So we are hiring. We're always trying to be constrained to not just hire for hiring's sake. When you're building a global platform like we are, and like you're building a platform that has aspirations of doing something that is much bigger. So we didn't start with the thesis that says a micro niche product that has a very narrow thesis and assumption. We're building a platform. And we're building a platform that, by definition, can scale to multiple scenarios, some of which we didn't even envision. We have one customer that we're really proud to work with, Trident Solution, that are building a travel and a VVIP elite management payment solutions. So if you've seen a below decks, basically anything that happens on board a yacht, a private jet, or a high-end estate or island is being digitized on the Trident platform on Finxone. And at first that wasn't even a fintech play, but now they're adding payments, they're adding cards, they're adding a whole bunch of stuff. If you can imagine how expensive it is to fill up a super yacht, and
it is,
and that type of stuff. That's the kind of solutions that we're kind of building. And these are kind of people that might not have had places in the market before because there weren't tools like us to do it. But when you're building platforms of that kind of aspiration and capability, what people don't understand sometimes is it requires specialist heads. It requires specialist knowledge. Think of building the Shard, right? You can't build the Shard with 100 people. That's just too few. You need specialists. You need engineering, HVAC. You need lift specialist, glass specialist, structural engineer. You need just the number of professions required to build a large building is staggering. All the way down to the electricians at the final build, to plasterers building the inside of the thing. So by the time you get to floor 65 in the Shangri-La Hotel, and the people are now laying it. Even interior designers are needed. I mean, you just be amazed at how many specialist roles are needed. And in our case, it's no different. We need infrastructure as code specialists. We need people that are Kubernetes specialists, can spin up financial services infrastructure and shut it down. We need security and PCI specialists. We need mobile developer specialists can automatically build stuff. We need payments integration specialists. We need just a huge amount of specialist talent that you might only need, one, but the crew is a remarkably specialist team. It's not just a bunch of bricklayers in the middle. There are hundreds of them. It's a little bit more nuanced. So we're hiring according to a triage list of those industry leading specialists that just know what they're doing, and ever adding more of that capability. Sometimes we'd head scratch for 5 days trying to solve a problem that when we got our first mobile specialist developer, he was like, this is how you fix it. Bang, 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 bang. An hour later, the whole thing we'd spent 5 hours as generalists head scratching has just been solved. And you need some of those people, that experience. And as you get those on staff and on roster, we've just brought on board a new head of engineering platform and real-time architecture, CMS, and they are an incredible engineer that have had 25 years building stuff from IMDb to Last.fm, just a huge amount of just industry tier one heavy grade things. And when people like CMS arrive, they have had a huge impact on our ability quickly to envision something and get something done faster. And so we're delighted that James and his CTO office are just getting industry leading people wanting to join Finxone, because we're doing stuff in AI, we're doing stuff in fintech, we're doing stuff that decrease friction. We're getting like dozens and dozens of applications of people that want to join us. They believe in what we're trying to do, and they believe in what we're trying to do for fintech and beyond. So talent selection is actually becoming a little bit easier. Now, Ryan, our chief product and delivery kind of officer, has had to grow an organization from 0 to 10 people in a month. Now that we're getting a lot of customers live, etc., we need a bunch of people to give the customer care, operational support, understanding project management of deployment and complex pieces. There's just so many things to get right. And remember, you don't inherit a playbook, right? A startup doesn't have any policies or procedures. So these
No,
things
it
have to be
doesn't.
built. They have to be built. And that's the exciting part. When nothing exists, it's all an open book. But the problem is nothing exists. So you got to do it quickly, move fast, and break things, as Elon Musk says.
Yeah, break them off and
Yeah.
them back together.
It's
Awesome.
financial services, so break often is not something I'm going to say, but yeah, I'll let you say it.
I'll say it. I'll definitely
Right.
say it. Awesome. All right. Fred, it's like been a really great conversation and chat around Finxone.
Thank
We're
you.
definitely looking forward to working with you and hopefully bringing you other people who want to get into the fintech space. So for anyone who's listening, anyone who hears this, if you guys want to build anything related to fintech fast, and with something that's robust and nimble, Finxone is definitely the place to go. If you what you can go and have a look at finxone.com, the website, and otherwise you can find Fred's details on LinkedIn, Fred Baumhardt, and yeah, it'll be a pleasure to make introductions to whoever needs
Perfect.
fintech solutions.
Perfect.
Okay. Anything else, Fred, you want to share or mention?
No, I think this has been a really good conversation. Good luck to everybody who's building stuff and envisioning stuff and dreaming. Stay with it. Break through. It's a lonely road, but it's a fun road, and actually, it's the only road worth taking.
Okay, fantastic. Fred, my regards to the whole team that I've got to
Thank
know,
you.
especially Amanda. Know what it's like to have a co-founder who's a wife, because my
Yeah,
wife's always hanging out in the background as well. So, regards to everybody, and really looking forward to catching up offline. All right.
perfect. Thank you.
Take care, Fred. Cheers,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.